I still remember the way my daughter looked at me that morning. Her eyes, usually so full of sparkle and curiosity, were clouded with humiliation and hurt. She stood in the bathroom doorway, her tiny hands shaking as she held the mirror, and tears streamed silently down her cheeks. Her thick, beautiful eyebrows, gone. Just 2 raw pink streaks where they had been. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. She was only 7, her name was Ella, and she had spent the last week excitedly picking out her outfit for picture day. She had even practiced her smile in front of the mirror, brushing her curls and asking me if her missing tooth made her look silly. But nothing prepared either of us for what we saw that morning. It was my younger sister, Callie. 24, jobless, still living with our parents, and always playing the fun aunt role while never taking a single thing seriously. The night before, she had babysat Ella for just an hour while I ran out to grab cupcakes for the school party. I trusted her. She grew up with me after all, but what she did in that hour was cruelty dressed in immaturity. I thought it would be funny, she giggled when I confronted her. She was asleep, and I just wanted to see how she'd look without them. Chill, it's just hair. I wasn't chilled. I wasn't even angry at first. I was stunned. Ella sat on the couch, burying her face in a pillow, too ashamed to come with me to school. My stomach churned. But when I brought it up to my parents, when I expected them to be equally horrified, their response? "It's just sibling fun," my mom said, laughing like Callie had pulled off a clever prank. My dad didn't even look up from his newspaper. "You're being dramatic again," he muttered. "Kids need thicker skin these days." Dramatic? My daughter had been bullied the week before for wearing a unicorn sweater. She was just learning to be confident. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't fun. This was betrayal. But no one else seemed to care. Callie, emboldened by the laughter around her, doubled down. "If it's such a big deal, why don't you just draw them back on with a marker? Problem solved." I could barely breathe. My hands clenched so tightly around my coffee mug that I thought it might shatter, and in that moment, something inside me broke. Quietly, but completely. This wasn't just about the eyebrows. This was years in the making. Years of being the serious sister, the responsible one, the one who got a scholarship, worked 2 jobs, paid rent at 18, while Callie skated by. And every time I asked for fairness or boundaries, my parents shut me down. "She's younger. She needs support. You're stronger." But I wasn't strong anymore. I was tired, and so was Ella. She didn't go to picture day. She didn't even want to go to school for the rest of the week. Her confidence was shattered by someone she trusted, and our family had laughed in her face. I spent that weekend researching school policies, bullying recovery programs, and, secretly, lawyers. Not because I wanted to sue anyone, but because I started wondering, if my daughter had a breakdown from this, and the school called CPS, would they say I was negligent for letting her stay with my sister? Would I be blamed for trusting people I thought were family? The next week, I told my parents I was moving out, that I was done letting Callie babysit, that Ella's mental health came first. They called me uptight. My mom said I was punishing the family for a little joke. My dad said, "If you can't take a laugh, maybe you're the problem." That's when I stopped talking and started planning. I knew they would never apologize, but I also knew something they didn't. I had saved every text, every voicemail, even the video Callie posted privately on her burner account, laughing as she shaved Ella's brows and whispered, "Can't wait for school pics." I had evidence. I had drive, and I was about to take this whole thing much further than they ever imagined. Not just for revenge, but for Ella, for her future, for her dignity, for every child who's ever been mocked by their own family and told to get over it. Because some people don't deserve to be part of your story, especially if they laugh when your child cries. I didn't speak to them for a month. I didn't return calls, didn't reply to texts filled with fake concern like, "You overreacted, but we still love you," or, "Ella will forget all about it. Kids bounce back." No, kids don't bounce back from humiliation served by people they trust. and I wasn't going to let them sweep this under the rug, like they had swept every boundary I tried to draw since childhood. That silence gave me clarity. Clarity that I didn't need their version of love, conditional, manipulative, and twisted into guilt. I needed space, and more than that, I needed to teach my daughter that silence wasn't strength, action was. So I filed for a protection order that legally barred Callie from babysitting or being near Ella without supervision. It wasn't petty, it was protective. The judge looked horrified when he watched the 12-second clip from Callie's burner account, her voice whispering, "She won't remember in the morning," as she cruelly dragged the razor over my sleeping child's brows. The smirk on her face was chilling, but it wasn't just that video. I printed screenshots of Callie's private DMS, where she joked to her friends, "It'll grow back, she's just a kid. Maybe her mom will finally loosen up." I showed how my parents laughed under the post with the emoji, laughing face. I handed it all in, a full file labeled Family Fun. The judge signed the order within the hour. I didn't tell my family. I wanted them to find out when they tried to swing by again like nothing happened. And sure enough, 2 days later, my mom showed up with a tray of lemon bars, that fake smile plastered on her face, saying, "Let's talk like adults." I opened the door just enough to hand her the court order. She stared at it, blinked. "What is this, a joke?" she hissed. "No," I said. "This is how adults talk." She stormed off with a glare and muttered, "You're tearing the family apart." But they had already torn it. Years ago. When I was 13 and Callie scratched my bike and blamed the neighbor boy. When she stole money from my wallet and I got grounded. When I got into my dream university and my dad said, "Don't brag. Callie might feel bad." Number I wasn't tearing the family apart. I was drawing a line. Finally. And while they sulked in their own denial, I was busy building something better. First, I set up Ella with a child therapist. Not one of those fluffy play and color sessions. Someone real who helped her put words to her feelings. I remember her whispering in a session, "I thought they loved me. Why would someone who loves you hurt you like that?" I had no answer, but the therapist did. "Sometimes," she said gently, "people confuse love with control. Real love never humiliates." That's when I knew I couldn't just cut ties. I had to rewrite the narrative. So I sent Ella back to school, not with drawn-on brows or excuses, but with a custom-made headband that had little pink stars across the top. We called them Power Stars, and I told her every time someone laughed, they were jealous of her sparkle. And then I sent a package. Not to Callie. To every family member who enabled her, every cousin, aunt, and even my grandmother who had told me I was too uptight and should let Callie have her fun. Inside the package was a USB drive and a single note. "Watch what you laughed at. Then ask yourself if you'd still laugh if it was your daughter." I don't know how many of them watched it, but I do know my uncle called me the next day and said, voice cracking, "I had no idea it was that bad. I'm sorry." And that was enough. Not forgiveness, but accountability. But the best part? That was just at the beginning, because I was planning something else, something public, something they would never be able to laugh off again. I didn't want revenge. I wanted truth, and I wanted it loud enough that no one in my family could pretend they didn't hear it. So I booked a billboard. Not just any billboard, the one right at the center of our town square, the one that overlooked the farmer's market, the weekend antique shows, the parade route on 4th of July, the one everyone drove past, the one my parents passed every Sunday on the way to church with their fake, perfect family facade. I uploaded a single high-resolution image, Ella's school photo. She sat proud in her sparkly headband, still missing eyebrows but glowing with a brave, open smile that said, "I survived this." Next to it, bold white letters on black background. My aunt shaved my eyebrows while I slept. Mom stood up. The rest laughed. No names, no faces except Ella's. But in a town like ours, that was more than enough. By sunset, my phone was on fire. "Aunt Michelle, is this real?" A friend from high school. "I'm in tears. that billboard made me stop my car. The school principal, we're offering Ella extra counseling, and if there's anything we can do, please let us know. And finally, Callie. She messaged me at 2 a.m., all lowercase like a coward. How could you do this to me? I stared at it, then typed back, ask Ella. The next day, my mom showed up, not at my door, at the billboard. I watched from across the street. She stood there, staring up at it with eyes wide and a mouth slightly open like she was finally seeing her reflection. A grandmother who laughed when her granddaughter was hurt, who called abuse fun, who clapped when cruelty was served with a smile. She didn't look powerful anymore. She looked small. She didn't call, didn't message, just left. That was enough for me. I moved to another town a few months later, one that didn't come with whispered pity or forced family ties. I enrolled Ella in a new school, one where she was just Ella, not the kid with the viral billboard past. I started over. And Ella? She bloomed. She became the little girl who raised her hand to defend other kids when they got picked on. She made signs for her therapist's anti-bullying campaign. She even gave a talk on empathy during school assembly. When asked where she got her strength from, she smiled and said, "My mom taught me that love is louder than laughs." And as for me, I didn't regret a single thing. Not the court order, not the billboard, not the silence. Because silence is what they wanted. From me, from Ella, from every woman they called too sensitive, too dramatic, too much. But I wasn't too much. I was just enough to break the cycle. And for the first time in my life, I didn't just protect my daughter. I protected the little girl I used to be, the one no one stood up for. Until now. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you